Picture this, standing at your kitchen worktop. You take a knobbly piece of fresh ginger and a sharp paring knife. You slice firmly downwards. Thick chunks of the tough skin fall directly into the kitchen bin. The bright yellow flesh attached to the skin goes right along with it. Stop right there. Look closely at what you're doing. Big mistake. You are performing the biological equivalent of buying a winning lottery ticket and immediately throwing it into the fire because you do not like the color of the paper. That yellow flesh you just binned is entirely irreplaceable. Traditional nutritional knowledge reveals a fascinating truth about this ancient root. Modern cellular analysis backs it up completely. The absolute highest concentration of active gingerols lives in a microscopic layer exactly beneath that paper-thin skin. Gingerol is the active botanical compound that actively supports your aging joints. It lowers systemic daily inflammation. It protects your cardiovascular system from the heavy wear and tear of modern life. Let me explain exactly how rare and valuable this specific compound is. Gingerol is a highly bioactive phytochemical. It functions inside your human body very similarly to over-the-counter anti-inflammatory medication. Think about the common pills you might take for a tension headache or a stiff, aching knee. They work by blocking specific pain-causing enzymes in your body called COX-2. Gingerol does the exact same thing. It targets the COX-2 enzyme directly. It shuts down the inflammation pathway at a deep cellular level. But here is the critical, life-changing difference. Pharmaceutical pills often block both COX-1 and COX-2 enzymes simultaneously. Blocking COX-1 strips away the protective mucus lining of your stomach over time. This is what causes gastric distress and stomach ulcers. Gingerol is incredibly selective. It only targets the inflammation-causing COX-2. It leaves your stomach lining perfectly safe. In fact, it actively protects your delicate gastric mucosa from daily irritation. Let us go deeper into what happens inside your joints every single morning. Your knee joint is entirely encased in a protective biological capsule. Inside this capsule is synovial fluid. Think of this fluid as a biological shock absorber. It lubricates the cartilage so your bones glide smoothly past one another. When you have chronic inflammation, the COX-2 enzymes flood this capsule with inflammatory markers called prostaglandins. The synovial fluid becomes thin, it becomes watery, it completely loses its lubricating power. The cartilage begins to grind against cartilage. This is the stiff, burning pain you feel on the stairs. Gingerol actively blocks the production of these exact prostaglandins. It allows your body to restore the thick, protective viscosity of the synovial fluid. The grinding stops. The glide slowly returns. I know exactly why you peel it. The root is awkwardly shaped. It has tight corners and strange bumps. Knives are what we use for tough root vegetables. Peeling feels like the only logical, hygienic way to get to the clean stuff hidden inside. I will show you the exact 10-second spoon hack at the end of this video. It unlocks 100% of these cellular benefits. You will not waste a single drop of the medicine. But if you just toss that perfectly prepared ginger into boiling water afterwards, your body absorbs absolutely nothing. I will explain the exact temperature rule you must follow to save the compounds. First, look at what throwing away that outer layer actually does to your daily circulation. When you consume intact gingerol, it interacts directly with your endothelium. This is the delicate inner lining of your blood vessels. It is a single-cell thick barrier lining every vein and artery in your body. As we pass 50, this vital lining naturally becomes stiffer, less responsive. Think of active gingerol as a microscopic soft sponge. It gently clears sticky residue from a fragile aging pipe. It triggers your endothelial cells to produce nitric oxide. This is a powerful signaling molecule. It forces tight, restricted blood vessels to finally relax and widen. It restores warmth to chronically cold hands. It eases stiff morning knees. It supports your demanding brain tissue with a fresh wave of oxygen. Let us look closer at this intricate plumbing mechanism. Your blood vessels are not static plastic tubes. They are highly active, dynamic organs. They are lined with tiny hair-like structures called the glycocalyx. Every time your heart beats, a pressure wave travels through your arterial network. In a healthy 20-year-old, the blood vessels expand easily to absorb the shock.
The glycocalyx acts as a slippery, protective shield against the rushing blood. By the time you hit 60, years of modern diets leave a heavy mark. High blood sugar damages those delicate hair-like structures. Years of stress take a hidden toll. The vessels turn rigid and unyielding. The heart has to pump much harder just to push the exact same amount of blood to your extremities. Blood pressure creeps up slowly. Plaque begins to form in the microscopic tears of these stiff vessels. Nitric oxide changes this dangerous trajectory. It is your body's natural relaxation chemical, a potent vasodilator. But your body naturally makes less of it as you age. Gingerol smartly steps in to fix the deficit. It acts as a biological ignition key. It turns the nitric oxide factories in your endothelial cells back on.
It dilates the vessels safely. Blood flows freely again. Take John, 58. He came to my clinic with chronically cold hands and climbing blood pressure. He was eating a relatively healthy diet, but struggling with poor circulation. I told him to stop throwing away the ginger skin. Within 3 weeks of consuming the intact subdermal layer properly, the color returned to his fingers. His blood pressure readings began to stabilize. The vessels were finally relaxing. But when you aggressively cut away that vital subdermal layer with a knife, you actively deny your blood vessels this daily sweep. You throw away the exact chemical your endothelium desperately needs. You leave your cardiovascular system to do the hard work completely alone. Never do this. Why exactly is the most powerful medicine trapped just under the surface of the skin? Look closely at nature. The wild ginger plant designed its chemical armor right at the outer boundary. It fiercely protects itself from harsh soil microbes. It is a brilliant biological shield. The ginger rhizome lives its entire life buried in damp, dark earth. It takes up to 10 months to fully mature underground. During those 10 long months, it is constantly surrounded by hungry, microscopic root knot nematodes. It faces invasive soil bacteria. It battles aggressive fungal infections every single day. If the root had no defense mechanism, it would rot away in a matter of weeks. To survive this hostile underground world, the plant pushes all its defensive chemicals to the very edge of its flesh. It forms an impenetrable chemical barrier. The skin itself is just tough fibrous cellulose. The real weapon is the dense gingerol layer sitting right beneath it. This layer acts as a natural botanical pesticide and fungicide in the soil. When you consume it, that botanical shield becomes your biological shield. The exact compounds that fought off soil fungus now fight off oxidative stress in your human cells. It supports your cellular health against the daily wear and tear of aging. It turns an ordinary food into a powerful catalyst for your own body to rejuvenate itself. But you must extract it properly. For thousands of years, traditional Ayurvedic practitioners in India relied on fresh ginger. Ancient Chinese herbalists called it the universal medicine. They prescribed it for everything from poor circulation to severe joint pain. Modern science is not discovering anything new here. It is simply providing the exact cellular explanation for what these ancient healers already knew. They did not have modern microscopes. They did not know what a COX-2 enzyme was, but they knew exactly how to prepare the root. They never boiled it violently. They always paired it with a fat source like bee. They instinctively knew the biological rules of extraction. Put a plus in the comments if you have always peeled your ginger with a knife, or a minus if you already knew to save the subdermal layer. So, the gingerol shield protects your fragile cells from the outside in. But saving the skin is not enough to get the benefits. A real biological catastrophe happens quietly right inside your favorite teacup. Pouring roaring boiling water straight from a whistling kettle onto fresh ginger is a cherished daily habit. Millions of health-conscious people do it every morning. It is also a destructive mistake. The precise science behind this tragedy is called thermal degradation. At exactly 100 degrees Celsius, boiling water immediately breaks the delicate molecular bonds of raw, fresh gingerols. The shock is simply too violent for the plant. It triggers a rapid chemical dehydration reaction. It converts the gingerols into a completely different chemical compound called shogerols. Shogerols are not inherently bad. They're brilliant for settling an upset stomach. They ease acute nausea wonderfully. If you have severe motion sickness, shogerols are your best friend. But the intense heat instantly destroys the joint-supporting properties of the fresh root. It kills the specific anti-inflammatory power you're trying to harness for your knees and hips. It's exactly like taking a fully charged premium battery and dropping it directly into a bucket of water. You drain all its healing power in seconds. You're left with a chemically altered liquid. It tastes pleasantly like ginger, but it lacks the active punch your joints need. Think about how we cook delicate food. If you boil a fragile piece of fish for an hour, it falls apart and loses all its nutrients. Plant chemicals are just as fragile. Traditional herbalists rarely boil delicate roots. They steep them gently. They understand that heat is a powerful tool. Use too much and you burn the medicine. Use the exact right amount and you extract the gold. I'll show you the exact temperature protocol and the spoon hack in just a few minutes. But first, you must understand the digestion paradox. While your boiling water is rapidly dismantling those valuable compounds, your digestive system is eagerly preparing for a nutrient it will never absorb. Here's exactly why your body rejects it. Gingerols are completely fat-soluble molecules. Drinking plain ginger steeped in pure water on an empty stomach guarantees one thing: rapid flushing. Your digestive tract is a highly watery environment. It's lined with a thick, water-based mucus designed to process water-soluble vitamins quickly. But gingerol is entirely different. Without a specific lipid carrier to bind to, these potent anti-inflammatory compounds cannot effectively cross the intestinal wall. They simply cannot enter your bloodstream. They pass straight through your digestive system. They're filtered out by your kidneys and sent straight to your bladder. You're left with a pleasantly spicy aftertaste and zero joint relief. All your careful preparation goes completely to waste. In my years of practice, I see this constant frustration in people over 50. Take Margaret, 62. She drank plain ginger water every single morning for 6 months. She used expensive organic ginger. She drank it religiously. Her stiff morning knees felt exactly the same. The chronic ache in her fingers did not budge. She struggled to walk down her stairs every morning. Opening a tight jar was still impossible. The day she added just half a teaspoon of cold-pressed coconut oil to her morning cup, everything changed. Her body could finally absorb the medicine. Within 2 weeks, the heavy morning stiffness began to lift. The dietary fat acts like a microscopic, highly efficient delivery van. It safely transports the fragile gingerol directly across the gut barrier. It carries it straight into your cells where the healing actually happens. Let me explain the exact mechanism of this delivery. When you consume fat, your gallbladder springs into action. It releases a substance called bile into your digestive tract. The bile acts like dish soap. It breaks the dietary fat down into tiny, manageable droplets. The fat-soluble gingerol molecules immediately attach themselves to these fat droplets. Together, they create a tiny protective bubble called a micelle. This micelle bubble is a biological marvel. It slips easily through the watery mucus of your intestines. It completely bypasses the watery blockades that stop plain ginger water. It enters your bloodstream perfectly intact, carrying the active COX-2 blockers directly to your inflamed joints. Without the van, the precious cargo is lost. With the van, the medicine arrives right on time. You do not need massive amounts of fat. A tiny dash of full-fat milk works. A small slice of grass-fed butter works perfectly. Even a few crushed walnuts eaten at the exact same time will do the job. Coconut oil is particularly effective because it contains medium-chain triglycerides. These bypass normal fat digestion and go straight to the liver, pulling the gingerol along for a rapid energy boost. Have you ever caught a supermarket tricking you with fake health labels on heavily processed boxed ginger teas? Tell me below. So, a tiny drop of fat is your essential delivery van. It saves the compounds from being flushed away.
But even with the perfect van waiting, you might be driving it straight into a solid brick wall. This happens if you store your ginger like most modern households do. Leaving your fresh ginger sitting carelessly in the vegetable crisper drawer of your fridge is a hidden hazard. We all do it because it seems like the logical place for fresh produce, but ginger is a tropical root. The modern fridge is a cold, damp, and highly humid environment. It is the absolute worst place for it. Constant temperature fluctuations cause severe condensation. Every time you open the fridge door, warm kitchen air rushes in. Moisture settles immediately on the cold food. This triggers rapid, completely invisible mold growth on the highly porous ginger skin. You might not see the fuzzy green spots right away, but this creeping mold naturally produces highly toxic compounds known as mycotoxins. Specifically, they can produce aflatoxins and ochratoxins. You're essentially putting a highly absorbent dry sponge into a humid cave. You expect it to miraculously stay fresh. It will not. It will absorb the ambient moisture. It will become soft. It will grow fungus. When you unknowingly consume these hidden mycotoxins, it immediately becomes a heavy detoxification load for your liver. Your liver works in two distinct energy-heavy phases to clear toxins from your blood. Phase 1 breaks the complex toxin down into a smaller molecule. Phase 2 packages it up safely to be excreted in your urine. Both of these vital phases require massive amounts of antioxidants to function safely. When you eat fridge moldy ginger, your liver is forced to use up vital antioxidants just to clear the invisible poison. It aggressively burns through your glutathione reserves. Glutathione is your body's master antioxidant. Your aging body desperately needs it for daily joint repair. It needs it for deep cellular maintenance. It needs it to protect your brain tissue from cognitive decline. Do not waste your precious glutathione fighting completely avoidable fridge mold. Real natural products are becoming incredibly hard to find now. Where are you watching from, and what do fresh fruits cost in your city? Remember the famous spoon hack I promised you earlier? That vital mechanical hack relies entirely on friction. It is physically impossible to perform if your ginger root has become soft. It will absolutely not work if the root is wrinkled and horribly spongy from sitting in the damp fridge drawer for weeks. A soft root just yields to the pressure of the spoon. It turns to useless, stringy mush in your hands. So, the damp fridge aggressively turns your healing ginger into a toxic sponge. It ruins the texture entirely. It introduces dangerous mycotoxins. How do you keep it incredibly rock hard?
How do you cleanly extract the active medicine every single morning without fail? The definitive answer is sitting right in your freezer. It leads directly to our final daily protocol. By the way, do you currently store your fresh ginger in the fridge or out on the kitchen counter? Let's debate in the comments. Keep your fresh ginger completely whole. Leave it entirely unpeeled. Do not chop it into small, convenient pieces. Chopping it exposes the delicate inner flesh to harsh freezer burn. Seal the whole intact root in an airtight container or a heavy-duty freezer bag. Squeeze all the excess air out. Place it right inside the deepest part of the freezer. The extreme cold is your best biological tool. It stops all dangerous mold growth instantly. It completely halts the enzymatic breakdown of the root. It preserves the complex cellular structure of the ginger perfectly for months. The precious Gingerols are locked safely in suspended animation. They wait perfectly preserved for you. When you want your healing morning tea, take the rock-solid frozen root out. Do not let it thaw on the counter. Take a standard, completely blunt metal teaspoon from your cutlery drawer. Do not use a large tablespoon. It is too wide to navigate the awkward bumps. Hold the frozen ginger firmly in one hand. Scrape the curved edge of the teaspoon firmly and quickly against the frozen skin. Because the moisture inside the root is frozen solid, the skin cannot bend or tear. The paper-thin, tough outer skin flakes off effortlessly. It falls away exactly like light winter snow. It leaves 100% of the bright, vibrant yellow, gingerol-rich flesh perfectly intact beneath. The blunt spoon is simply not sharp enough to cut into the rock-hard frozen flesh. It only removes the paper-thin defensive barrier on top. Absolutely no waste. No lost, expensive medicine ending up in the bin. You save your money. You save your joints.
Now, take a microplane or a fine metal cheese grater. Grate that frozen, perfectly peeled ginger directly into your favorite ceramic mug. When you grate the ginger, hold the root perpendicular to the grater blades. Ginger has long, tough, fibrous strings running straight through its core. If you grate parallel to these fibers, you will end up with long, unappetizing strings floating in your tea. If you grate across the fibers, you cut them into microscopic, easily digestible pieces. The frozen root grates beautifully. It does not turn stringy or fibrous like room temperature ginger always does. It creates a fine, fluffy snow of frozen ginger. This exposes the maximum possible surface area of the plant. It ensures you extract every single last drop of the active compounds into your water. Do not ever pour roaring, boiling water over it.
Boil your kettle, then step away. Wait exactly 5 minutes for the water to naturally cool down to around 80 degrees Celsius. This is the golden biological temperature. If you have a temperature-controlled modern kettle, simply set it to 80. If you do not, just look closely at the water. At 80 degrees, the water is gently steaming. There are absolutely no large rolling bubbles breaking the surface. Pour the gently steaming, safe water over the freshly grated root. Watch it instantly turn a beautiful, pale, cloudy yellow. Add your tiny, essential drop of healthy fat to act as the carrier. Half a teaspoon of cold-pressed coconut oil is perfect. Stir the mixture well. Let it steep undisturbed for exactly 3 minutes. You now have a cup of perfectly preserved, highly active, fat-bound gingerol. You might wonder exactly when you should drink this powerful elixir. Timing matters immensely for your biology. You want to feel vigorous and energetic throughout your day. You want to maximize the deep anti-inflammatory benefits without disrupting your natural rhythms. Never drink strong, highly active ginger tea late at night before bed. Ginger is a potent thermogenic plant. It actively and vigorously stimulates your slow evening digestion. It gets your gastric juices flowing precisely when your stomach should be resting. It gently but noticeably raises your core body temperature. This slight thermal increase actively disrupts your delicate sleep cycle. Your brain desperately needs your core body temperature to drop by exactly 1 degree to initiate deep, restorative sleep. If your core is too warm from the thermogenic ginger, it suppresses melatonin production. Melatonin is your master sleep hormone. Without it, you will simply lie there awake, frustrated, staring at the dark ceiling for hours, wondering why your mind will not shut off. Try drinking it mid-morning instead. 10 o'clock is biologically ideal. This is the precise biological window when your body's natural waking cortisol levels begin to balance out and dip. Cortisol is the primary stress hormone that wakes you up in the dark. It peaks around 8 in the morning and starts dropping sharply 2 hours later. You know that familiar mid-morning slump? The exact moment you suddenly lose focus at your desk? The moment you reach for a second heavy cup of coffee or a sugary biscuit? That is your cortisol dropping rapidly. The active ginger will smartly step in right at this moment. It supports steady, highly reliable mental and physical energy. It dilates your blood vessels smoothly, sending a fresh, vital wave of oxygen directly to your brain tissue. It does all of this without the harsh, jittery crash associated with heavy caffeine consumption.
It supports your circulation exactly when you need to be active and alert. Let us quickly recap the exact biological protocol. Freeze the whole root to prevent toxic liver-draining mold. Use a blunt metal spoon to scrape off only the paper-thin skin, saving the vital subdermal gingerol layer. Grate it finely across the tough fibers for maximum chemical extraction. Use exactly 80-degree water to prevent thermal degradation and preserve the COX-2 blockers. Add a lipid carrier like coconut oil to ensure deep intestinal absorption. Drink it mid-morning for sustained jitter-free energy and daily joint relief. By simply using a blunt metal spoon, you stop throwing away biological gold. By strictly respecting the critical temperature rules, you preserve the delicate medicine. By adding a tiny drop of fat, you guarantee cellular delivery. You are working brilliantly with the plant, not fighting against it. You are giving your aging, hard-working body a highly potent, traditionally proven friend. So, the spoon and the 80-degree water actively support your joints. They perfectly protect the active compounds. But if you are eating a very specific, incredibly common type of breakfast toast alongside your morning ginger tea, you are inadvertently putting up a massive chemical block. This common supermarket bread stops all nutrient absorption entirely. It traps the vital minerals directly in your gut, rendering your healthy tea completely useless. That is a fascinating biological detective story for our next chat together. Stay vigorous. If this topic interested you, you will love this one too. Never put honey in boiling water. The warm-only rule you need to know. This information is strictly educational to support your daily vitality. Never change your doctor's medical treatment without their consent. Thank you for sharing your time with me today. Take wonderful care of your health, and I will see you very soon.